Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions. He's, lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard. An illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
In the midst of chaos erupting on the streets of Los Angeles, Governor Gavin Newsom took to the airwaves to do what California politicians do best: deflect blame and vilify federal leadership. Appearing live on MSNBC, Newsom launched into a tirade against President Donald Trump, accusing him of inflaming unrest, violating constitutional norms, and worsening the situation through the federal deployment of the National Guard. But beneath the bluster, one glaring reality remains conveniently ignored. The true crisis facing Los Angeles and California at large is the unchecked presence and impact of illegal immigration.
This is about authoritarian tendencies. This is about command and control. This is about power. This is about ego. My way or the highway. This is a consistent pattern of practice, of recklessness. This guy has abandoned the core principles of this great democracy. He's threatening to go after judges he disagrees with, cut off funding to institutions of higher learning. He's on a cultural binge. He's rewriting history, censoring historical facts. I mean, this is something completely different. And this is part of that ongoing play that is unfolding in front of our eyes. It is a serious moment under the guise of immigration, but it's much deeper than that.
Newsom's appearance was a masterclass in political theatre. With the Emergency Operations Center as his backdrop, he painted a picture of federal overreach and authoritarian tendencies, while portraying himself as the last line of defense for democracy. But who is really suffering here? The law-abiding citizens of Los Angeles, working families, small business owners, and community members who are witnessing their neighborhoods deteriorate under the weight of lawlessness and governmental neglect.
That said, we were told in just a recent briefing just a few minutes ago there was small activity in the county and not in the city proper. But look, you made a point a moment ago. These images are unacceptable. These kids on the car, the folks that are taking advantage of this, these aren't peaceful protesters, a lot of these folks, a lot of great people out there doing the right thing. But you get these insurgent groups coming in, sort of these anarchists that are in there to create real problems. And they're just playing right into Donald Trump's hand. And they need to be called out. They need to be arrested. It is wrong to destroy other people's property. And it is wrong to create the conditions that only exacerbate this. But Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is the sponsor of these conditions.
When asked about the violence and property destruction sweeping across the city, Newsom was quick to blame anarchists and provocateurs, but slow to acknowledge that a significant portion of the instability is rooted in failed immigration enforcement. His outrage seemed less focused on public safety and more on defending undocumented immigrants, some of whom have evaded the legal system and continue to strain public services, overwhelm housing, and exacerbate crime in vulnerable communities.
We're here to support local law enforcement. There's a mutual aid process. Local law enforcement had no needs. They were not requesting any additional resources. I've got 100 now. I have 175 CHP officers, technically trained officers, tactical teams to address Donald Trump's mess. We are here to support local law enforcement, the sheriff's office, LAPD, but they didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis in order to get under the tent to start to stretch credulity and to begin the process of moving inevitably towards a constitutional questioning crisis around posse comitatus. And it's, I think, inevitable. That's where he's going.
Throughout the interview, Newsom railed against immigration and customs enforcement operations and lamented that federal authorities weren't coordinating with his administration. But it's no secret that California has long positioned itself as a sanctuary state, prioritizing the protection of illegal immigrants over the enforcement of federal law. This political defiance has created a magnet for those seeking to bypass legal immigration channels, resulting in overcrowded schools, overburdened hospitals, and increased competition for jobs among working-class Americans, including legal immigrants who played by the rules.
You mentioned that there are people out there causing mischief and mayhem. What's your message to those people who are out there tonight? Not the peaceful protesters that are out there protesting for the rights of immigrants, but for the people that are doing damage to buildings, to law enforcement out there.
Well, they're doing more than damage to buildings and to property. They're potentially damaging the very foundation of our republic. The democracy is in the balance. I mean, you're seeing these authoritarian tendencies now are being acted out by this administration. And we're case in point as it relates to nationalizing, federalizing the National Guard, threatening now to put in Marines. So I hope these people would pause and just consider. Now, some of them, they want that kind of chaos. In some ways, they're adjacent to where Donald Trump is. But the peaceful protesters, we want to keep them safe. We want them to exercise their fundamental rights. We want to keep those that are enforcing the laws in a respectful and responsible way also safe. But Donald Trump needs to pull back. He needs to stand down. Donald Trump is inflaming these conditions. This is Donald Trump's problem right now, and if he can't solve it, we will.
The governor's emotionally charged rhetoric, while appealing to progressive media, does nothing to solve the core problems. Newsom spoke passionately about the fear of children and families being targeted, but where is the compassion for the American citizens whose communities are being destabilized by open border policies? Where is the accountability for a system that has allowed violent criminals to exploit sanctuary laws to avoid deportation?
Stephen Miller, other people have used the word insurrection about the activity on the streets of Los Angeles.
Yeah, this is just, they're trying to incite violence. They're trying to impose the kind of rhetoric that only makes conditions worse, that quite literally put people's lives at risk. And they're intentionally and knowingly doing that.
It's totally shameless, isn't it? But we're used to that from Gavin Newsom. You know what's chaotic? An open border where millions of people just flood into the country year after year, including dangerous criminals and terrorists. You know what's chaotic? What you've seen in California for years, which is total lack of law enforcement, of upholding the law, whether that's homeless people on the streets, criminals on the streets. And what's chaotic is just standing by all the authorities in LA yesterday issuing pathetic, pandering statements instead of standing with federal law enforcement to make sure that this is done properly. That's chaotic.
Moreover, Newsom's decision to vilify federal intervention as a power grab ignores the state's responsibility to protect public order. His refusal to cooperate with federal authorities, even as pockets of violence spread across Los Angeles, shows a blatant disregard for public safety. While he demands that the president stand down, Californians are wondering when their own governor will finally stand up for them.
He's a master of distraction. He's the commander of chaos. That's what Donald Trump does. Moves this direction, move that direction. I mean, look, this guy is 90 days, 90 beautiful deals. How many deals? Zero. In the UK, give me a break. I mean, Elon Musk is the sycophant of sycophants as it relates to this love relationship that he had with the President of the United States said it exactly right. We're likely to enter a recession the second half of the year because of the recklessness of this tariff policy under this administration. He's just saddled our kids and grandkids with $2.5 trillion of debt to give billionaires and corporations a tax break that they're not even asking for. Of course he's trying to distract us. He needs to stand down. The President of the United States needs to stand down. He needs to rescind this order, and we'll work together to clean up his mess.
Illegal immigration is not a humanitarian footnote. It is a crisis. It is a systemic failure that impacts wages, safety, education, and public trust. And until California's leaders acknowledge this reality, instead of scapegoating federal agencies, the chaos we see today will only deepen.
Where's your decency, Mr. President? Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it, I'll say it again, it's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. This is a serious moment, and it requires serious leadership. And it's time for you to be a commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And I will have your back if you want to work in a relationship of trust and truth in the spirit of our founding fathers. But you come after poor kids, you come after families, we will do everything in our power to stand up and stand in your way.